Everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and today we are going to be talking about most of my favorite Christian fiction romances. So I do love my Christian romances. I mean, historical romance, contemporary romance. I'm really getting into contemporary romance lately. Romantic suspense, pretty much anything that has a love story. It's just so good. And I don't even know if I have a video. I could have like an old one. I know I have like an all-time Christian fiction video, but I don't know if I have a Christian romance video. So what better time to do it than Valentine's week? So let's go ahead. So ignore the books that are this way. These are for a future video. So I'm just waiting for other stuff. All right. And they don't have any place to go yet. So, all right. Anyways, let's start off with one that I don't have a copy of. The rest I have copies of. I probably could have gone into my Goodreads and found more, but I figured I would just go through my physical TBR because I do own most of my favorites, and we'll just go from there. All right, so the first one I want to talk about is one of my absolute favorites. I gave this book so many hugs, and that is the last book in the Haggenheim series by Melanie Dickerson, and it is The Peasant Dream. And I don't know why I don't have a copy of this yet, because it's amazing. I love it, and I just love it. It's a gender swap role of the Cinderella story. So we have the princess, who is the Duke's daughter, and then we have the Cinderella man, who is a kind of like a carpenter, but he works on his dad's farm, but he really wants to be a carpenter and work on the doors of the church in the town. And so they end up meeting in town. The Duke's daughter ends up going to town and dressed as like a peasant, and so they end up meeting and falling in love. And it is just my favorite Melanie Dickerson book that I've read, and I have read every single one of her books except for one trilogy, and she has written a lot, so that is my favorite. And the Haggenheim series, you really don't have to read them in a row. They each follow a different character from the family, and so yeah, you won't have any spoilers at all. So they might mention like a character in a previous book, but it's in passing, you'll be okay. But anyways, my favorite, I gave this book so many hugs as I was reading it because I knew it was going to be the last in the series, and I did love it. So that's my first one. All right, next one is actually one that I just got in the mail yesterday. It was a gift from my parents for Valentine's Day. I was like, I don't want chocolates or roses because I don't eat a lot of sweets. I did still get sweetheart candies though, so that was nice. But what I really wanted for Valentine's Day was Dear Henry, Love Edith by Becca Kinzer. This is her debut novel, and I loved it. I was laughing so much in this. I've never laughed so much in a book before. Boo by Renee Guttridge, that one got me quite a bit, and this one was the side characters were the stars of the show. Even though the romance was cute too, I love the side characters. They were funny, the townsfolk were hilarious, and it was slapstick humor, but sometimes you need a book like that to just forget everything and just have a good laugh, and that's what this was. So absolutely loved it. I've talked about it a few times, but this book is about Henry and Edith goes to this town where she's going to volunteer for the summer until she gets her passport to go to Africa. And so she can't stay at the place that was set up for her. So the lady says, you can stay at my uncle's place, and she calls him dear old Uncle Henry or something. But so she thinks that he's an old guy. And then Uncle Henry, his niece, calls him and says, hey, I'm having this, this sweet old lady, because I think she also thinks that Edith is an old lady, because Edith isn't, Edith is more of a a different era name, and so they both assume that the other one is an old person, and they end up writing letters back and forth because they keep missing each other in the home, because he can't climb up the stairs because he has a bad knee, and so she takes the upstairs apartment, and so they just write letters back and forth, and they both think they're old they're older, and I just loved it. It's so sweet. It has references to like old movie stars and old movies, and I love stories that do that because that's my heart and soul. I love old movies. So yeah, pick this one up if you haven't yet. It's so good. All right. Let's just put those there so you can see them as we go on. Okay. Next one is, I just finished this one. Was it this month? I don't know now. Hey, how'd you get fuzz on you? Book had fuzz. I don't remember when I read this. I think it was, well, if it wasn't this month, it was last month, but that's The Rose and the Thistle by Laura Frantz, and I love this one. It definitely has like historical events with the Jacobite uprising in Scotland, but I was just here for the romance. Like the romance between the two main characters, and just the way Laura Frantz writes Scottish dialogue is just amazing. Like I don't think I've ever like I don't know how to explain it, but I've never read an author's book that wrote in a language so well, where like it was just great. Like you could tell he had a Scottish brogue, and it was amazing. So pick it up just because of the romance. It was great. And yeah. So there's definitely like some high stakes in here. There's definitely romance, and yeah, so it was good. I don't have much to say about it, but it was good. All right, next one that I have is, now this one, when I first read it, I only gave it 3 stars. I think it's up to 5 stars. Honestly, I don't know why I gave it such a low rating. Like, I don't know, but it has stuck with me since I read it last spring, and I'm just like, honestly, it should be 5 stars. And whenever I read it again, I will probably change my rating because I do really enjoy it, and that is Plot Twist by Bethany Turner. So this one, it does have a plot twist, hence the title. But I love this romance story. It is definitely, it's not a romance story that you're going to expect. It's definitely different. There is a little bit of a love triangle in this story, but I don't think that takes away from the plot of it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of love triangle stories. I mean, I say that, and I like Archie comics, but but yeah, so there's a love triangle in this, but it's really, really fun and entertaining. And so this is about, I can't remember characters' names. Olivia has always wanted to write like a screenplay. So she ends up at like this coffee shop where she gets hit on by this guy and gets rescued by another guy who's an actor. And so they end up talking and chatting, and she ends up talking about her screenplay, and he says, hey, why don't we meet, I think it's like 10 years later. Yeah, 10 years later. If you have your screenplay written, I'd be happy to possibly star in it. Because he's kind of like just like starting out in the show business, so like he's not super famous or anything, but he has had some parts. And so she's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But then every year leading up to that 10-year anniversary, something happens where like she ends up at the coffee shop, or like sometimes she's like, oh, I wonder if he's actually going to be there. And so it's really cute, it's really fun, and definitely the ending will definitely be different. But yeah, super cute. All right, and the cover, oh, that cover, it's one of my favorites. Love that cover. All right, next up is a duology, which this video would not go by without mentioning these. I mean, if I didn't mention them, somebody in the comments would have yelled at me saying, why didn't you mention these? Because we know you love it. And that is In Search of a Prince and To Win a Prince by Tony Shiloh. I love these. And they go so well together. Like, they're so pretty. Like, they look like the same book, but they're not. They have different colors. So, but I love these books so much. One of my absolute favorite series ever. Like, if she wrote 10 books in this series, I'd be happy. But I think that's all there's going to be is a duology. So I'm sad, but they're super cute. All right, so if you don't know, this one, which I've talked about a bazillion times, is about a girl who, oh, my brain's hurting. I'm still on the last book. This one is about Brielle Adebayo, and she finds out one day, right in the beginning of the book, that she is an heir to an African African island nation. And she had no idea. She has never met her grandfather. Pretty much a Princess Diaries retelling, but definitely faith-filled, but it was such beautifully faith-filled that you can tell like the faith was part of the character's life. And I just love that so much, and how she relied on God and, asked him to help her make decisions. And I love that so much. So In Search of a Prince. And then To Win a Prince is about her best friend, Lily Iris. I didn't have to look. I was like, no, it's a flower. It's not Lily. It's Iris. Iris. And she is working on making a company in this island. And she wants to build this company, this fashion design company, to help the people of Oloro Ile. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's definitely a male character from this book that appears in this book, so I won't spoil it for you, but there's reasons why he ends up working for Iris at her company. So really good. If you haven't read them, pick them up. Please pick them up. Please pick them up. Please. Are you listening? Please. All right. Anyways, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you should. Or any of these. They're cute. All right. Next one is one that I read last summer, roughly. And that is Where the Road Bends by Rachel Fordham. So this is a historical fiction. I think most of the ones that I mentioned were actually contemporary, besides The Rose and the Thistle. But this one is another historical romance. This is Where the Road Bends by Rachel Fordham. If you are a fan of redeeming love, check this one out. Redeeming love is a little too strong for me in the explicit scenes, if some of you may know about Fancying Rivers. So honestly, I unhauled Redeeming Love like last year because I'm like, I don't really like it. It was okay. The writing was really good, but yeah, these scenes in there that they kind of toe the mark of the romance a little. So, but this one, pick this one up. If you liked kind of just the main storyline of Redeeming Love, this one I think you would really like. So this one is about a girl who, she's on a farm. It's her family farm, and she's about to lose her farm unless she marries somebody in town who can afford to keep the farm. Well, one day she ends up finding somebody who's been badly beaten in her fields, and so she brings him home and heals him. And so, you kind of see sparks happening like right away, but he ends up getting healed, nothing happens, and then he ends up leaving. And she gives him a package kind of with clothes and like a bag and stuff, and it kind of like skips like 10 years later, and he's pretty well to do. He's got his own business now. And so he ends up trying to find her because there was something in the bag, I'm not gonna tell you what, but that helped him along the way. And so he wants to find her and to thank her and make things right. And she ends up kind of in the same situation as the girl in Redeeming Love, but it's not explicit, and it doesn't, and nothing happens to her. She's like, it almost happens, but like he's there to stop it. So I really enjoyed this one. It's so cute. It's very romantic and very sweet, and I can't believe I remember the male character's name, Quincy. Probably because it's a very unique name, but Quincy gave me like Jason Momoa feels, like just he's big, and yeah, I don't know. He was like the first guy that I thought of that was like kind of bigger, and so yeah. But anyways, I just love the story. It's very sweet, so check it out. Can't believe I remembered that much about that book. It's been almost a year since I read it. I'm doing good. I haven't even read the synopsis of these books. I'm doing good. All right. Next one is another contemporary, Tacos for Two by Betsy St. Amant. This was my first book by the author, and well, honestly, I think the only book that I read by the author. She's only written like one or two more, I think. So my mom just finished, she just finished her other book that I have. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to. But Tacos for Two, another favorite cover. I mean, how cute is that cover? So cute. So anyway, so I love this book. It wasn't like one of my highest rated books out of like all of these, but like it's really cute. It's an enemies to more story, and so we're finding like two rival food trucks, and they end up texting back and forth. I don't remember how they text back and forth, but they end up kind of falling in love through text until there ends up being a food truck competition, and they both end up entering and finding out that they've been texting each other. And so yeah, it's definitely an enemies to more story. So, or maybe a more or less to enemies to more, something like that. But anyways, this is really cute. Definitely pick it up. I definitely think this is a really cute book for the summertime. So it's coming up hopefully soon. Summer. All right. Next up is kind of a little bit of a different love story than everything else that I've mentioned, but I can't go by without mentioning this book because it is my favorite love story, but it's for a different reason, and I really need to reread it. And that is Love Amid the Ashes by Misu Andrews. And I am putting this in the love stories because yes, there is a little bit of a romance story, but honestly, it's more of a romance love story to the Lord. Like, just, yeah, because this story is based off of the book of Job, and we see Job going through just so much horrific things and so many horrific things that Satan puts him through. And he doesn't get mad at God. He doesn't turn away from him. All he does is love the Lord more, and I just love that. And it's a perfect love story. So yeah, pick this one up. It's my favorite by Misu Andrews so far. I have a few more to read from her, but definitely this is my favorite so far. Another historical fiction. All right. Next up is a romantic suspense. I think I only have one romantic suspense on here. I could have put the other ones on, but I could only carry so many from the other room. All right. The next one is A Dangerous Beauty by Melissa Coslin. This is one of my favorite romantic suspense. I love it. Our main character, what's his name? Michael? Merrick. You start with an M. One of my favorite book crushes, Merrick. He's kind of like that. He's got a super bad reputation with his company and stuff that kind of rumors around, but like the way he treats everybody, like his personal friends and this girl that he helps, is just so beautiful. I love it so much. One of my favorites of last year. It was like probably top 3 or 4 of last year. It was so good. But this one is about Liliana, and she just escaped from traffickers. And so I just saw a delivery truck, but it was turning around. No, it's not going to our door. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so yeah, so this book is about Liliana, and she just escaped human traffickers. It's right in the beginning, like first page, and she ends up at this gas station where she runs into Merrick, and Merrick can tell by the look on her face that it's scary, and he knows the situation because he's seen it before. And so he's like, "Are you in danger?" And she says yes, and he points out the 2 men who he thinks are the people after her. And she says yes, and he pretty much beats them up to a pulp and gives them to the policemen who come in. And so he can't bring her back he can't send her back to Mexico because they're going to be after her. He can't give her a green card because he's helped too many people already. There's like no more favors that he has. So what does he end up doing? Marrying her. In name only, but it's the sweetest story. I love it. Definitely high intense action. Love it. Definitely check it out. All right, next up. We've got so many here. All right, next up is another historical fiction, and that is Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin. One of my absolute favorite authors. I love her so much. I've probably read at least half of her books. I need to go back and read a couple of series that I've missed over the years, but her books are absolutely amazing. I think I've probably rated everyone 5 stars that I've read, but this one is about a ballerina named, I'm trying to remember without looking. It's Lucy, right? Yes, it is. But it's Lucy, and she's a ballerina in Paris, and she is working at a bookstore, and the owners are Jewish. And right before World War II, she ends up offering to buy the bookshop and running it instead of being a ballerina, so that way they can escape to America, and she'll take care of the bookshop until they're able to come back. And so she does, and then she meets this man who is an owner of a car company, and he makes cars and makes the parts and stuff, but then he ends up making parts for the Germans. And so everyone is literally like just treating him like garbage and looking down on him because he's working for the Germans, and his little girl is just treated so poorly by the other children. Like, they want to play with her, but the parents are like, no, like, stay away from her. And so there's other things going on, and I'll just leave it at that because I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's good. All right, next up is another contemporary. Man, I got a lot of contemporary. I guess I do like it a lot more than I thought I did. Like, I think I'm more hesitant for contemporary, like women's literary fiction. You know what I mean? Versus like contemporary romance, because I do love contemporary romance. I don't think the delivery truck really knows where he's going. It's hilarious. I'm just watching him. It's the same delivery truck. He like turned around, went back this way, and then turned around and came back again. I don't think he knows. I think he's new. I don't know. He's not at my house, though. Really hoping he was, but that's okay. Not expecting anything anyways. All right, anyways, so this is A Portrait of Emily Price by Catherine Ray. And this is just a sweet, cute contemporary romance. It's very insta-love. Love at first sight. I honestly, though, this tricked me. I thought it was going to be the other guy in the beginning, so leave it at that. But, oh, I have a note in here. I should put the note someplace else. The note from the author. But so yeah, so this one's a really cute romance. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites. But this one is about this girl who she's a art restorer, and so she restores paintings and furniture and stuff, and she ends up meeting this guy who came from Italy to help out his aunt and uncle at their restaurant, to kind of help just make it nicer and kind of restore the restaurant as well. So they end up falling in love, and he takes her back to Italy to meet his family. And I just thought it was really cute, very sweet, and I think I liked it a lot because his mom reminded me a lot of my grandmother. So I did really enjoy the story. I definitely think I'd probably reread any of these, honestly. But yeah, so if you want something that takes place in another country, well, a lot of those did, but contemporary-wise, this is a good one. All right, let me try to fit that there. All right, I do have a couple more in my bookshelves, which I didn't grab yet. So this series is one of my absolute favorites. I love it so much. I have reread it. That doesn't happen very often, so you know it's good. Okay, and that is, I only have 3 of them so far. I really wish I had more, but 3 is better than none, right? Actually, I did have the entire series, but they ended up in plastic containers and in our basement, and water got into it, and yeah, it wasn't a happy sight. But so yeah, so I only have 3 out of the 5 so far. I have 1, 3, and 5. But this is the Rocky Mountain Legacy series by Kristen Heitzman, and this is in my romance all-time favorite Christian fiction. And so I have Honors Pledge, Honors Quest, and Honors Reward. And these books are just, if you love kind of that old pioneer Western style romances, I love this one. And this one kind of, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's definitely different. Like, it made me cry for sure. And I love this. So yeah, I can't really tell you too much about it. Let me read the back of book 1. So you get a little snippet. So it says, Abigail Martin is a headstrong young woman who believes frontier life in the rugged Colorado Rockies possesses all the world she could ever want. As a woman who listens to her heart, Abby is determined to wait for the best, even if it means dashing the hopes of her childhood friend and holding out for a love as consuming as her beloved mountains. Montgomery Farrell is a handsome, refined gentleman who sees in Abby a reflection of the untamed, pristine land he has come to call his own. Though he finds her penchant for adventure a refreshing change from the southern belles of his upbringing, Monty also holds honor above every virtue, even love. So it sounds like super sweet and stuff, but they go through some hard stuff in these books, like really hard. So I really enjoyed this series. Definitely check them out. And thank you again to Kristen for sending me these, because I was gonna purchase them from her, or actually I asked her for book plates, and I told her like what happened to my books, and she ended up sending me what she had. She didn't have the other 2, but she kindly sent me these, and that's so sweet. And they're all signed somewhere. Hey there. They're all signed, which I thought was so sweet. So super nice of her. All right. Let me try to put these back. Oh boy. Ah, no, go back. There we go. All right. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is... Oh, that one's good too. I forgot about that one. Oh. Well, this one definitely has a lot of other stuff besides romance, but In a Far Off Land by Stephanie Lansom. This one takes place in the early 1920s, early 1930s, and this one involves a murder mystery and this man who kind of takes this girl under his wing, just pretty much as a friend and to help her become a star if he can. And she's kind of like she's tired of waiting to become a star. She kind of takes matters into her own hands, which is unfortunate. And then she ends up waking up in a bed somewhere with a dead body on the floor. So yeah, and she's afraid that she'll be accused of it. So she ends up running away, and the guy who was trying to help her, like, he doesn't want to deal with that situation, but he kind of gets involved a little bit and tries to help her. So it is really good. I definitely like this one. It's definitely one of my favorites. I just realized it's got the cute little lights on it that kind of twinkle. I was like, what is that? I was like, oh, it's the little lights behind her. That's actually kind of cute. All right, anyway, so that one's good. And then I got 2 more to talk about. 2 more. That's it. All right. The first one is The Princess by Lori Wick. I did talk about how much the girl was blushing, but honestly, you know, I can look back at that and say this is a really great book. So I love this. If you like books that are, this is one of my favorite ones, or actually probably my favorite. What is it called? What is that romance trope called? Arranged marriage. There we go. I couldn't remember it, but arranged marriage. And so this is about Shelby and Nikolai. And Nikolai is a widower, and so his family wants to arrange a marriage for him, and he's like, I don't care who I marry, just pick someone out for me, because he knows he needs an heir for the throne. And so his family ends up picking Shelby. And Shelby is, yep, she's pretty much a commoner, but she's a very good speaker, and she's able to kind of, she just blends in really well. Like, even though she struggles to be a princess after they're married, you just kind of see, like, she's so great to the servants in the castle, and she's so great at talking to people, and she just kind of just melds into their family really well. And you do see, like, her and Nikolai, because they're complete strangers and they don't even know each other like that well before they get married, and so you see kind of their journey as they start to fall in love with each other throughout their lives. And so really great story. I did enjoy this one a lot, and I love my copy. So pretty. All right. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is the first book in the On Devonshire Shores by Julie Clausen. This is the Sisters of Seaview, and the second book is coming out, I believe, in December of this year, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Okay, so this one, it definitely is more of a sister story. I have talked about this one before, where it just reminds me so much of, like, Little Women. Even though I've never read Little Women yet, like the movie versions, definitely reminded me of Little Women and the sisters and how they came together to help each other out. And I just love it. And the romance in this story is between this one sister who, she has a cleft lip, and so she ends up wearing a veil all the time, and she ends up meeting this man who's pretty much kind of, you know, he's kind of the brooding type, you know. Well, we all like a brooding character, right? Who just ends up changing for the better. So it was really sweet, and small town, coastal, loved it. I love it. I love the sister camaraderie in this story. Just, yes, one of my favorite books of all time. All right, so that is all of the books that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I'll at least hold these up. Oh boy, these all have to go in the other room anyways. Okay, so these are all the books, or most of the books that I talked about. I put a couple back on the shelf, but there they are. There's so many. All right, so these are all the books that I talked about. Man, those are heavy. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know some of your favorite contemporary Christian romance or clean romance in general. I would love to know, as long as it doesn't have anything explicit in it. I would love to know your favorite romances. Let me know down in the comments. If I haven't read them, yeah, you'll be sure I'll be adding it to my list somewhere. All right, so I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.